Hello everyone, it's me, Phoenix Labs here, and today I'm going to be doing a inbox review of the T-80BV by Trumpeter and 1/35th scale. Now this is a 2013 kit that contains, I believe, 1,500 parts. Jeez, that is, it's definitely a very part-heavy kit. Trumpeter kits are generally known for having lots of parts, but usually they are pretty high quality. So if you are a more, more experienced builder when it comes to models, then these kits are probably going to be a pretty good kits for you to get. Here we can see the box art. Unfortunately, got a little bit damaged in the post, but that is a tragedy that we're going to have to deal with. This box art is really nice. They did a really good job with it. And they even got their little signature down there. It's a pretty hefty box, so don't expect the parts to be damaged anyway. I have already opened this and looked inside to see if all the parts are in there, so it's not currently sealed, but everything should be in there. So what do we get inside? Well, these are usually at the bottom, but we'll put these off to the side for now. We get one paint scheme sheet, which has, I believe, a total of 4 different paint schemes that you can do. All which are with, I believe, Vallejo. Actually, they got like all different kinds of colors that you can use. So that's really nice that they did that, because a lot of companies only do colors for a certain paint company, but it seems that Trumpeter has done quite a few different paint manufacturers. So yeah, we got a lot of different paint schemes, all of which look pretty interesting. Now the T-80BV is pretty, I guess it's not exactly as common as like something like a T-72 in the Russian arsenal, but there were a lot of these that were made, and I believe they are the most common T-80 variant out there. So I'm sure that online you can find even more different paint schemes. Here we have the instruction manual, which we will go through once we look at the parts. And seems to have 19 pages with 20 steps on them, which, you know, they're Trumpeter steps, so they're gonna have like 50 things you have to do on each one. All right. Now, usually Trumpeter includes a extra little sheet, which I have one right here actually, that has like, you know, it's a little catalog showing what they have currently, which, you know, it's pretty cool that they do that. This sheet is pretty beat up, unfortunately, but it was the first one I found. And I believe this one came out 2 years after this kit, so it's definitely not the one that would be in here. But yeah, no, it's definitely strange that there's not one in here. I'm not sure when they started doing that, but I'm sure that it was somewhat recently. Alright, so let's get down to the individual sprues. We'll start off with this little, I guess, kind of basket thing in the corner here. That's where they usually include any abnormal pieces or the like. So, here we got, I believe, 2 different sets of rubber pieces, which will be really nice. These rubber gun mantlets are actually really nice and detailed. I quite like them because you can kind of sculpt them if you want to. I'm not sure what that is supposed to be. Maybe it's supposed to be the log that a lot of Russian tanks have in the back, but I don't know. I'm not completely sure about that. And here we seem to have a few cover pieces and more rubber side skirts, if I had to assume. Here we have the really nicely molded turret. Seems to be specifically made for this kit because it has all of the mounting points. I'll get into this later, but there's a number of Trumpeter kits where they standardize certain parts, And you have to drill out these holes that are in the side of them. Which, you know, it's cool that they're standardizing, but it also means they have to be really careful with those holes. But yeah, no, those are really nicely marked out and should make it a lot easier to mount ERA. I did do Tamiya's T-72A a few months ago, and it was an older kit that lacked the mounting points for the smoke grenade launchers, so I had to eyeball them. And there was literally like no pin marks or anything on them, which was really annoying. So I always really appreciate it when they go the extra mile to put the mounting points on there. Next, we seem to have some ERA pieces. This seems to be regular plastic. Yeah, just a bunch of ERA and track links. There we go. Here's the photo etch, which, you know, it's always nice that they include these. Though, Trumpeter does tend to overdo it when it comes to the photo etch. But, looks really nice. Should be really cool seeing that on the kit. Seems that there's two different photo etch sets, so kind of heavy on that for a regular kit. Decal sheet. Trumpeter is very, come on, focus. Hold on. There we go. Sorry if I sound like a little, stuffed up. It's because I've been pretty sick recently, so my voice is gonna sound a little bit weird. So, standard Trumpeter amount of decals. We seem to have a guards roundel and two insignias, which I don't know who that is for, but we'll find out. Some Russian flag ones and a whole bunch of numbered ones. One thing that's always kind of bothered me about Trumpeter kits is that they are very lacking when they come to decals. Like, these are really nice quality ones, but it would be a lot nicer if they included more, just more of them, so that way you can have more variety instead of just a bunch of numbers and maybe like one or two divisional stickers or whatever. Translucent pieces. Seems to be almost primarily for hatches and stuff like that, so not really interesting. And here's the whole bottom, and it even comes with a cable wire, which is always appreciated. Looks really well molded. Got different lengths of things, so you're gonna have to be careful because your suspension is not going to be same on each and every one. But yeah, looks really nice and straight. Don't see anything wrong with it. And yeah, that's the bottom of that little tub. Alright, now I'm going to get into the main box of sprues here. Now, these aren't in the order that they were when I received this, because I took them out to see if they were all in there. And it seems like there are, so that's really nice. So here we got the one with the front of the upper hull. A lot of Russian model tanks, or models of Russian tanks, I should say. They usually have the front section just being their own entire little piece, which is a very interesting thing that I've seen, because it's almost been it's been very consistent. And here we seem to have grill bits and other miscellaneous parts. I believe that's also a thing that goes on the back of the turret. Here we have the lower turret and various other pieces. It looks like the IR lamp right there. Not sure what the other ones are, but I think these will be for the fuel tanks that are mounted on the, I guess, above the tracks. That's not the other IR, but it's another imager that's on top of the turret. Not sure how many of these parts are standardized ones with the other T-80B kit, but I'm sure a lot of them are. Here we got the, I guess the kind of transmission mounts and the hatches, as well as the barrel, which, you know, I kind of preferred if they gave a metal one. I know that their T-62 kit came with a metal barrel, which was really sick, but I guess these more complicated 125mm guns are harder to make metal versions for, so I'm gonna have to buy an aftermarket kit for that. Next up, we got the track covers. I'm trying to remember the specific word for these, but it's like escaping my mind right now. But yeah, the thing that goes above the tracks. We also got the bulletproof shield for the TC, I believe. Maybe. I think it's either the TC or the gunner, one of the two. And a lot of other parts that I'm not really sure what they're for. Here we have what seems to be two different sets of track pieces, and they are protected by styrofoam, which, you know, I guess that does something to protect them. It only seems to be this side, though, which is really weird. The other one is completely unprotected, so yeah, I guess there might be two different options for the side skirts. This one has all of the fuel tanks and I think that's either the NSVT or the Dishka that's going to be on the top of the turret. Not sure which one this one came with, but I'm sure if I looked at the box art I could tell. It looks like fuel tanks and engine. Sorry about that, my phone got a call, which was very inopportune. Here's all the ERA bits, which is probably going to be the most exciting part of this kit, and that's probably going to be the main reason why anyone would choose this kit. Seems like they're mostly molded together, which is convenient. Though if you're going to be doing a kit where some of them are destroyed, that's going to be kind of tedious to modify those. We also got a wire cage thing, which I'm going to assume that's going to be on the turret. That's going to be... It's good that they made it one part, but that's also going to be really fragile. If anything, they should have put those little styrofoam things on that. But yeah, you got all the ERA, lower front plate, even more stuff with the lower front plate, and a bunch of single bricks, which will definitely be appreciated. And now for the nightmare of the kit, which are these tracks. Now, they are very nice tracks, don't get me wrong. Highly detailed, pretty decent plastic. You get more than you need in these kits, which is definitely appreciated, because the last time I built a Trumpeter kit with these, I definitely lost quite a few pieces, because they take a really long time to build, and usually a piece or two goes missing while you're building them. But yeah, no, they make really nice posable tracks, and yeah, they're really nice, but they take forever. I like talking back to my previous experience with them. I think it took me a full day's work just to assemble two sets of them. So if you're building this model, definitely take note that those are going to take a huge chunk of time to build. So what else do we got here? Suspension arms and more ERA and boxes that go on the turret. Even more of the same stuff. I think these last pieces are all suspension. Oh yeah, those are the extra fuel tanks that go in the back. The sprockets and some other miscellaneous stuff. The wheels and ammunition boxes, I believe. Yeah, lots of wheels and bits of suspension. Last part in here is once again, another set of suspension wheels. So clearly this kit has a literal crap ton of parts, and you know, even if you're just getting into modeling or anything like that, what you should probably do is take your time to get some paper, write out like all of the part numbers, like the ones that are on these like little corner pieces. Like, you know, this one's A, so you would write A on it. Just take a bunch of those pieces of paper, write in big bold letters, or use like a marker, Sharpie. Do that, and then tape them to the sides of these kit, or these sprues. It saves you so much time just looking for individual sprues. Like, with kits with like lots of parts like this, it is so convenient. I cannot recommend it enough. I had an example of a company that makes stickers of these, but unfortunately I don't seem to have those on me, even though they were right next to me like 5 seconds ago, which is very confusing. But I think the company is called Tiger Models or whatever. But yeah, no, those like sticker sheets are so convenient. They make these things like, it makes it a lot funner and a bigger breeze to just burn through all these kits. Alright, so funny story. I looked around for a little bit and I found them. So these are like the sticker versions of what I'm talking about. You can make your own with just some tape and regular pieces of paper. But yeah, no, you take these, you peel them off the decal sheet, and then you stick them along the rim of the sprue. And then you press them both together so you can see E on either side, or A, or whatever sprue part it is. I really appreciate that they included this, and well, Tiger made these, but unfortunately they're the only company I know who makes these, so hopefully in the future they will become more common. If not, then, well, that sucks, I guess. But yeah, no, let's get now over to the instructions themselves, which is, this thing's a pretty hefty amount of instructions. Fortunately, Trumpeter instructions are pretty easy to follow. Or, I guess they're pretty standard. They tend to have a lot of parts on them, which is another thing with, well, I say another thing, but I already mentioned this earlier, but Trumpeter kits, they are really complicated, so if you're building one thing, or if you're building these things, expect a lot of parts and just lots of unnecessary detail and stuff like that. Alright, so first page, it lists all of the parts that we should have, which I checked and they are there. We can actually kind of see... Oh, never mind. I was going to see what that mystery rubber piece was from earlier, but I guess not. So, starting off, as per usual with pretty much every Russian T-tank model, they start with the bottom, which we start with the lower front plate, as well as a number of these, I guess, suspension arm stoppers. I'm not really sure what they're called. Here we can see already some photo etch being used to make a suspension spring. You have to do that three times, but you also got the other side, so 6 times. As well as 3 A20 parts, which look like track links, now that I look at it closer. Oh yeah, you also got the wheels up there, but you probably saw that. Now we got a number, or we're starting to do the suspension arms, as well as more photo etch parts, and the front road wheel. Here we also got the digger thing that they use for digging up trenches and stuff like that. We also got the other side of the suspension. We got the arms that attach to the digger, the mud flaps, which I didn't realize that those were mud flaps earlier, so it's really nice that those mud flaps come in both plastic and also rubber, because I have another kit that's of a T-80U. I think it was made by RPG Models. It was a tough build because they had a lot of rubber parts in it, and the rubber was really cheap and stretchy. So you would try to like super glue them on and they would just like slide off. So what I ended up doing is I would just melt them on and then super glue them. It was a nightmare and it looked real bad, but Trumpeter's rubber is it's a lot better. We can also see here, this is the front of the hull. We can see the bit where Trumpeter clearly standardized the part here. But they were also very fortunate enough to, or polite enough to give us indicator holes on where we should punch a hole through the hole. Give me a second to find it. Yep, here we go. Yeah, as we look here, if you look closely, I'm not sure if it's on camera, but you can see tiny holes that indicate where we're supposed to drill a hole. Now, I haven't tried this technique yet. I found out about it on the internet. One thing you could do is you can take a needle or like an airbrush needle or something like that. Heat the tip up with a lighter or something like that. And with that super hot tip, you can just poke a hole through it. And that should make a really nice smooth hole for you to use. Should be a lot better than what I've been doing, which is just taking a X-Acto knife and twisting it with my fingers so that it's drilling a very precise hole on both sides. So, I'm not saying you have to do that, but I think it's a really good idea. We also see some pusher pin marks, which you won't see on the inside of the hull because, well, it's not an inside hull model, so it doesn't really matter all that much. Let's see. That is very... Yeah, they definitely compacted this thing because that's a lot of small things you have to do between 3 pages before you get to the upper hull. We got the periscopes, and here we can see the ERA being mounted onto the front of the hull, as well as something. I'm not really sure what that is, but I'm sure that we'll see later on in the steps. More photo etch. Oh, we also get the upper road wheels, funnily enough, this late in. We also get the engine deck, which has some... Oh, that's surprising. I thought that would be photo etch, but I guess not. Those look like regular pieces, so I guess we won't be having photo etch engine decks for everything. Which, you know, it's fine, but definitely prefer regular engine decks to photo etch ones. Or, other way around, sorry. Oh, that's the thing that we built earlier, just now being put on there. And this is the part where we make 160 two-part track links and put them together. But we have to double that for both sides, so that's... Let's see here. 320 track links times 2 because they're 2 pieces, so that's like a decent 600-ish pieces just in this one step to kind of give you an idea of how insane those tracks are. But if you got patience, then you can make it. They aren't the most tedious thing ever. Also, when you're putting them on, wrap them on from the top and then go down, because that makes it a lot easier to push them together once they're at the bottom. Also, secure them to the wheels once you're done posing them, because those tracks will slide off. Here we got the, that thing I can't remember. Here we got the 2 option pieces that I was talking about earlier. They both look the same, so I'm not sure what the difference is. Oh, this one's like more curved while this one is flat, so choose if you want a curved one or a flat one. We also see more use of those rubber pieces. And now we get to a turret. And, ooh, that looks particularly painful. Just How many of these do we make? We make 5 of these. I guess that's not too bad, but let's see here. Yeesh. Yeah, that's definitely going to be a pretty tedious part, just building all those individual ERA parts that are made up of 1, 2, 3. I guess they're made up of 3 parts, so I guess it's not. Actually, no, 4 parts. I guess that's not too bad. 4 or 5. But yeah, I could see those getting kind of tedious. But, you know, they will provide some great detail. We got the lower bits of the hatch. We have whatever that is going on the side. I think that's the filter, actually, for the crew. Or for the crew as a part of the NBC system. Yeah, the ammunition boxes, the snorkel system, ERA being put on there. Track links being put on the side with a basket, the roof ERA, and the optional rubber bits, which, as you can see, you can choose either pointing straight forward or kinda up, which I usually do it straight forward, but you can also do kinda up because both are honestly equally correct. It's also kind of the issue with these tanks is that a lot of these T-type tanks, they don't have the posable barrel that a lot of other tanks do because of that mantlet. More ERA, which, you know, if you love ERA, that's going to be a really fun bit. Oh, the other side of ERA, which is not much better than the other side, but I think it's going to be a lot less tedious. Actually, they also kind of elaborate on the turret thing. I know I already started talking about this earlier, but I recently built their T-72B2 by Trumpeter, and I don't think they did, but when I was putting the ERA on their turret, I think it was just a regular T-72B turret that they made. And I don't know if the ERA on that thing is like even or even set up correctly, because it's like there's so many ways you could have posed it where it could be completely wrong or correct, which my Radodka's over there, but you know, we're focusing on this. So, oh yeah, here we got the lamp build, ERA, as I said. I am really excited about the ERA part. Not so much the tracks, but you know, when I have time to build this will be a really fun kit. And here we got the... Is that a Dishka? No, that's the NSVT. So we got the NSVT 50 cal machine gun, which, you know, you could just say that it's not a 50 or it is a 50. Honestly, they are basically the same bullet. Very similar. And yeah, we got that. It is really cool that they added the little commander's shield. Is that the commander or is that the gunner? I can never remember. I think that's... Yeah, I think that is the commander, because the one I'm thinking of is the T-62, where they, for some reason, put the commander on the right side and the gunner on the left, relative to looking at the tank, not at the actual inside of the turret. And I always thought it was weird because then the gunner has to get out the tank to operate the 50 cal in case there's like helicopters or whatever. But yeah, that leads to the final parts of the tank, and we are done with the instructions. So my final thoughts on this model kit is that it's definitely a really good kit, well molded as we saw, plenty of pieces, even if a majority of them are these tracks. The main issue I find with this kit is that it is definitely one of Trumpeter's complicated kits. Sure, if you're like a more, I guess, experienced modeler or someone who does this on a regular, then you definitely won't mind the extra parts or anything like that. But if you are more of a just hobbyist or someone who's just trying to wind down, I don't think that this kit's for you. there are a number of other T-80BV kits that, although are really old, you probably would have a funner time with if you are more of a casual model builder. But if you're like a more experienced one or want something that's more of a challenge or one with a lot of detail, then this is definitely for you. Overall, I think it's a really good kit, and if I had to give it a rating out of 10, I would say about an 8 out of 10. I took off a point because, as I said, there's a lot of really complicated bits which aren't really necessary. And also I took off another point because I feel like, I guess the tracks are like really nice ones, but I feel like there could be like a little bit extra stuff, like more decals or maybe more photo etch bits or maybe a metal gun barrel that would have been nice for this kit. But those are, I guess, minor things. Just really nitpicking, but pretty nice kit. Pretty good. And yeah, that's the end of this review. I hope you guys enjoyed because, I say, but this is like kind of like a hobby video that I'm making, and hopefully I can make some money off of reviewing these things and painting them and showing them off and whatnot.